Welcome to the Meditation Podcast. You'll find all our episodes on meditationpodcast.org. They're all different. We've got some meditation and breath meditation, as well as a few interviews. And we're also on BitChute and YouTube. I also have the Speaking Podcast to help you with speaking, Learn Polish Podcast, and the Awakening Podcast, where I'm exposing corruption and fraud, but with solutions. Today, my guest, Swedish-Canadian, please welcome Filippa Levemark.
Thank you.
Did I pronounce it correctly, or probably didn't do it justice?
No, it was perfect. Yeah.
So we actually we met at an A-Fest. I don't know, probably 3 years. I've seen you at a lot of different A-Fest or Mind Valley events. Yeah. And what we did one time is you taught me Acroyoga.
Acroyoga.
Yes, and
I don't remember you.
It was fascinating, like, because I mean, I had never experienced it in my life, but I mean, how you got into that, and it's definitely like a form of meditation, because you have to be totally present when you're doing it.
It's so funny. I don't remember you being in that workshop, but
yeah. I didn't do a workshop. It was on a beach that we actually done it. There was you were just teaching a few people on one of the...
Oh, yeah. In Italy, maybe.
Perhaps, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I thought you meant it, the Mind Valley. Yeah, because I was like, were you in that workshop? Because I actually held a little workshop in Acroyoga, which I do sometimes just for fun. Yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
When did you get into that? And like, it is a form of meditation, really, because you're like totally in the zone. I mean, you can't be, thinking of, anything going on your shopping list or your arguments with your significant other when you're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's more play, I think, than meditation, but it's definitely like, you're combining the acrobatics with the yoga. So you have like the presence of the yoga and the fun with the acrobatics. I started actually when I moved to Malaga in Spain, and it was, actually the first time I did it was maybe 10 years ago at this yoga festival in Sweden. And I just loved it. And I learned a little bit, and I would do it like a couple of times. But then I really got into it when I moved to Malaga as a way of learning to know people. Because I was new to the country. I was new to, well, not to Spain maybe, but new to Malaga town. And I knew that you learn to know a lot of people doing acro, because, it's the best way to get to know someone, because you're not so much in the stories of who they are. You're directly into body communication, and you're directly into connection and trust, and like, hey, you're gonna lift me upside down, like I'll have my ass in your face like after 5 minutes, like we're gonna be friends. So yeah, is that the first time we met?
No, I think we've met before that, because I mean, when you're at these different events, like you're just having different conversations constantly. But not. I don't think it was the first event that we met. But yeah, I just remember that it was. Yeah. I was kind of scared, to be honest, but it was really enjoyable. I know it was something that I'd like to do more of, to be honest.
Well, it's funny that you remember it, because I think that's the reason why I loved it too. Because I just fell in love with it immediately. But it's also one of those things that is easy to remember, because you're doing things that you might be scared of, and you immediately get small successes. So it's like, maybe you haven't been lifted upside down, or maybe you haven't been like tossed around like that since you were a kid. And so like seeing people doing that and overcoming their fear, like I don't know, it's a really, it's a lovely practice. And yeah, it's something that actually I would love to do more now as well. I haven't done it in a while, so.
And the ones I've seen you doing, because I've seen a video as well, you look like a ninja. Like, I mean, the guy you're like spinning around on his legs, and it's incredible to watch, to be honest. That and it's such trust. I mean, you're holding hands at times, and other times you're just kind of letting yourself go.
Well, that's the thing too, right? Because that's like how you can build trust with someone too, is like you trust that they will hold you there.
So if there's one thing that I haven't done, I normally ask, my guests to let. So who's Filippa to the audience?
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny that you ask that, because it's also like, I don't want to be too much in the story of who I am, because I do believe that we are energetic, and so you just have to sense the energy of me to know that. Mm-hmm. But I would say, like, just a short presentation is, I spent 10 years living my dream life of being an artist, a painter. And that was up until 2 years ago. And that was like my dream, my passion, my career. And then I started to become more and more interested, because during these 10 years, I kind of had this spiritual awakening, if you will. And I also did so much personal development. Like part of me being able to kind of live that dream was because I consistently just worked on myself and just attended so many different workshops, listened to a ton of podcasts, did so many different things that about 2 or 3 years ago, I started to feel that my intuition was calling me to work more with people than just with painting. And so I remember because I've done this kind of 10-year process of my own, because I never really followed a system, right? I didn't do traditional education. I didn't do a traditional career pathway. And I didn't even do a traditional artist career. Like I didn't go to art schools and stuff like that. Everyone around me would ask me like, how did I do that? Or like, did I have any tips? And I started to talk to people and realize how their language was their program. Like I started to understand just through talking to people, like how they were stuck and where they had like these limiting beliefs. And I just naturally would kind of coach people or just help them step into their dream. And I would notice like people around me would like start businesses, and they would start, doing their passion, and they would start that just kind of like, because I don't attribute it to me, but I think like as friends, when you see someone doing what they want, you just get inspired. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I was, since I've followed my intuition since I was 20, I just had this very clear intuitive calling to just quit my life at that point, start travel, just sell all my belongings and start travel and start talking to people and start kind of like coaching people. And then I started to realize, like, I kind of started to do that as at the same time I was traveling, I was attending so many different events. At the same time, I was feeling very, like, I just didn't know how to do this obviously since I never done it as a career. And I finally decided to, because my intuition was calling me to do that, to lead workshops on intuition, since that's been kind of what I've been doing, following that kind of internal calling. I did that in Barcelona. I decided to, like, after I traveled for a year, I came to Barcelona and I decided to live there for a while. And I just led, like workshops like in the park for a couple of people. And then I realized quite soon that people don't really respond well to intuitive things when they're so active in their mind. They would think about things, and you can notice when someone is more in their mind and their stories, and when they're more like in their heart and they're like more energetic. And so many people are in their mind because they're stressed, they're in society, they're thinking, and it's like, if you're so active in your mind thinking, it's really hard to listen to that part. So I then started to lead meditations, and it's something that I've done just as my own practice since, I don't even know when I started, maybe when I was 19 or maybe younger than that too. And I just started to lead meditations without any formal training or anything. I just like decided to let my intuition lead me to do that. And then just, if people liked it, I would continue. And the first class that I held was such a transformative experience for myself and for the people that we did it with. So I basically did like a 2-hour session, and this kind of spontaneous healing happened, if you will. Like one of the girls in the class, she realized this kind of emotional block that she had during the session, and we would like end the meditation, and then she would share like what was going on for her in her body. And then I just intuitively sensed that like we can go really deep with this. There's something like trauma or something, some energy that needs to be let go of. And then we did like another hour, and then she just kind of cried and let everything out, and we did this kind of natural kind of healing session, if you will. And afterwards I was like so filled up with energy. I felt like I was God. Like I felt like I had this such a powerful energy exchange for like hours. Meanwhile, I'd also started to kind of coach people and do like only like one-on-one sessions. And in those sessions, I would do this process that's a lot of people do nowadays, but it's something that I kind of developed in myself as well, called inner child healing. Just a method of kind of going back and meeting your inner child and working with painful memories and stuff like that. And this is also the meditations that I will send to you. One of them is basically the inner child meditation, just like a short version of that. Beautiful. And so I started to lead these kind of like private sessions, and I would just develop a technique of my own to do like a ceremonial kind of healing session with inner child work. And anyway, so then I started to lead these meditation classes, and they kind of evolved and evolved to be more and more intuitive. And they went hand in hand with doing small workshops and ceremonies to kind of help people heal trauma, or help them unblock something, or help them just like kind of like rewrite their story so that they're more in their hearts and stuff like that. And I just started to see lots of results. Like people, like I had this one girl who came in and did a session, and she had never felt love before. And she said during that session, it was the first time in her life that she actually felt what self-love feels like. I mean, so I would have these like huge results, and I realized this is what I'm supposed to do right now. This is my gift. And then I just continued on that path.
Well, I mean, we've spoken a few times. I've met there's something, you definitely have a presence about you. There's an energy about you. I mean, I have felt that this, like when you meet different people, you just get a feeling from, somebody. And like, also you talked about the art. I mean, I have seen your pictures. You are an incredible artist. And you said you're self-taught. You didn't get professional training for the art that you've done.
No, I studied like, that's how I discovered the passion, I would say. Okay, so that's a longer story maybe, but I had a vision when I was traveling in New Zealand when I was 20 that I was supposed to be an artist. And I didn't have that as a desire before that. I was always interested in like creative fields, but I was more into like making movies and stuff like that. And so that kind of came like a surprise for me to have that kind of vision. But then I followed up on that later when I didn't get into film school. I applied to this. In Sweden, we have these one-year programs that are called folkhögskola, and it's not a grading, it's not university, it's just like a college for a year. And usually they're in the creative field, so you can just like attend and you'll just learn lots of things in that field. So I attended 1 year of art school where it wasn't just painting, it was like photography, graphic design, lots of different classes, and I did that for a year. But honestly, I didn't really like my painting teacher, and so I didn't really attend the classes. I just painted by myself, like at night in the studio. So yeah, I did, I've learned a couple of things like that, but I didn't have like a traditional, a lot of people being artists, they study like this 5-year university program with, and I wanted to, I thought that was my path. So I applied like 3 years in a row, but I never got in. And then eventually I just started to sell my paintings through Facebook and Instagram. And I just decided I don't need that type of education right now. I think it's more aligned that I actually just educate myself and just paint. Yeah.
And like I've seen a lot of your stuff, like you have some of the pictures I've seen are the owl, but there's also ones that are yourself, and they are so lifelike. They're like, are you actually looking at like the mirror, or do you have a picture and take the picture and do it, or are you doing it from your mind? Because it is like, I mean, you definitely need to check out your website because you have them on it, those even ones, but they are incredible. Like they're so realistic.
Thank you. Yeah, it's photo based. So I would have like a photo, and then I would look at the photo all the time. So I kind of copy it from the photo. So yeah, they're very realistic in that sense. And it's just a skill that, I mean, anyone can learn how to paint realistically. So I personally really like the crafts of realism. But it's also, maybe that's one of those things. I'm like, yeah, but it's a skill, you can learn it. It's not, it's like anything. If you spend enough time, you can actually learn most things, right? And I think like, I used to draw a lot as a kid, so I just had a natural connection between my hand and my brain. And basically it's just, actually that's a very interesting thing about painting that I always liked, and it's quite similar to not being in the story of your mind. Because if you learn how to paint, you have to learn how to translate what you see to your hand without your brain interfering. That's the only thing you need to learn. Because your brain will have stories of how it looks like, whereas your eyes sees it without that judgment. And so you have to take away the brain's participation in what it looks like to actually translate that to the hand.
Oh, that's interesting. And because I used to like art, but and I was actually good at 13. They took it out of the school. So when I was 13, I remember I got first in the class, but at 13 they took it out, and I didn't paint since then. Didn't do anything. And recently, I we're about to start. I bought all the paints because my son is 7, and I want him to do it because I think the creative side, just being creative. So I've after buying all the different things now, I've all the different paints, so we're ready to start painting. And I think because you're not thinking of other things as well. Because I think if we look at, say, the meditation side of things, a lot of people are stressed. They're stressed with life. They're stressed with the current circumstances going on. If you're painting, you're present, and I think that's a form of being kind of meditative as well, by just being present.
Definitely, absolutely, and I think I think that's the key to anything, to be really focused on what it is that you're doing right now, to be in the present moment. And you can paint in so many different ways, but you definitely have to be present for you to get the results that you want. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And it's definitely, for me, I think part of me teaching through meditation or teaching, just working with that part of my brain, is much thanks to having spent 10 years meditating while painting, because you can come into a flow. And so, yeah, but then there's also, I see it like 2 different ways of painting. So if you have realism, you have to concentrate on your eye, you have to learn how to see. So you concentrate on your eyes and, how you move your hand, and you have to be super present with one part of your brain, which is I experience that as one type of painting. And then you have the other type of painting, which is more abstract and more feeling based and intuitive. And this is where this is how I combine the paintings as well, because I have the abstract backgrounds and then the realism, because these are the 2 ways that I love to paint. And so the abstract part, which is here you don't need any skill set. You just need to enjoy the process of putting color on canvas. And then you can do that, to music. That's a tip for you if you're going to start. Just don't have any ideas of it having to be some way, but just paint with what feels good for you. I really feel painting with this color now, and then you just paint with that. And you put on a song that you like, and then you just move, with the paintings and with your hand, and yeah, that's a complete.
No,
yeah, really,
I like the music one. Yeah, I didn't even think of having the music going while I'm doing it. So nice, yeah.
Yeah, then you can just do a practice where you just see how you enjoy the painting, and just, like dancing, you're just, okay, I want to move like this with my brush. And that's, yeah.
And the ones that you've done, kind of the self-portrait with the background and with the owl, and how many hours does that take? Or is it days? I mean,
it's very dependent on size and it's a whole process, right? Because it's one thing if I already have an idea from the beginning, and then I can take a photo to represent that idea, and then I can paint it. That usually takes maybe 2 weeks, I would say. It's really hard, maybe just a day if it's a small one. But then, sometimes I paint and I have to redo, and then it just takes so many days. Sometimes if it's a really large painting, it'll take a longer time. If I have lots of details and faces, it will take because you have to paint in layers, so you'll paint and then it has to dry, and then you paint again, and then, yeah. So I'd say, the biggest one, probably a month in total. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, when you see it, you'll understand why, because they are very high caliber.
We can put some pictures if you wanted me to send some.
Definitely, yeah, I'll put it on because I mean, we were discussing this earlier, because you've got your own podcast. We were just talking about the marketing side of things, and I was saying how pictures work. So your pictures, then I can put a few of the pictures, and that definitely it gets people's attention. And then when you see the picture, you go, "Oh, I'd be interested in listening to what this lady's got to say." So it's it's definitely. And I mean, speaking of the podcast, I mean, we we didn't realize it, but we were both in a course with Amrit, who
Yes.
I got started because I think that would have been, was that in Tallinn, was it?
Yes.
Yeah, in Tallinn. June,
2018.
July, 2018, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I started in November. The speaking podcast was the first one that I did. But you've got your own one going at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, well done you starting that early, because I literally put it off until now in December when I started mine. And yeah, it's something I've been wanting to do since then, basically, but just never really felt the alignment, never really felt the timing was right. And honestly, I just didn't really know what to talk about when I started, because I was in such a, like I said, I was traveling then, and there was so many things going on at the same time, like so many shifts in my life, that a clear topic and thread was not present, like what to do. And yeah.
But it's I mean, it's I've listened to, like you were talking about your relationship with your sister and everything, and you're giving very good advice. So I mean, you might just kind of mention a few of the episodes and what they entail, so just for the listeners, because maybe they'd want to start listening to your podcast.
Yeah, so I share a lot of meditations, first of all, but honestly, I think like the main theme of my podcast is to share how you can discover kind of energetic patterns. And that's a whole subject in and of itself. But I'm starting to realize that we're all like energetic people, like we're primary energy, and secondarily brain and thought and like material. And so when you start realizing it's all in the energy, it's all in the emotions, because that's how we sense energy, is through the body and through the emotions. Life just becomes easier when you understand that you control everything in your life from your energy. And I just started to realize, like, part of my gift is to sense people's emotional and energetic patterns. And a lot of people don't know today what that is, and like how to do that, and like what does that mean. But it literally means, like, if you have a belief about yourself, maybe you picked that up in childhood. Usually that's how we form beliefs. Like when we're so young, we start to get the program from our parents, from our societies, and we start to have a belief about ourselves. And then what happens is, this is, you know, say that you picked up that you were not enough, which is like the most common version of a belief that most people have. In one way or another, as a child, we believed we weren't enough. And so that will then create like a belief. But I would also then, I don't know exactly how to frame this in words yet, because for me it's more like an experience than a word-based thing. But you start to like send this out, like you start to kind of like send out the pattern of not being enough. And then if you look at like law of attraction, then you're sending out a vibration of not being enough, and so you're receiving circumstances, people, and events where you will not be enough. And once we start to tune in on these things in ourselves, we can realize, hey, this is a story. And so I just wanted to share that with more people, like how easy it is to shift our own energy and our own beliefs and our circumstances and our environments just based on that. Because a lot of people in my circles of friends were like, they know law of attraction, and they're like, yeah, if I just think about this, I can manifest this. Or a lot of my friends maybe, you know, they don't have that in like perspective either. And so I think it's one of those things that you subconsciously hold on to, and you can try to like manifest or create your life. But if you're holding on to like all of these tensions or these beliefs in your body, then people around you notice that so easily. Like everyone knows this. Like if you have someone that really has a story that people don't like them, then most likely you will not like that person. You know, it's just something that you sense energetically and emotionally. And so my podcast is a way of like talking about these things to, first of all, just because I'm learning these things too, so I'm like just sharing so that I can understand it better, but also to help people work with these patterns, release limiting beliefs, replace it with something else, so that you can have this energetic understanding of yourself. also how you can start to pick it up in other people. And that's like the first episode that I share is just like how I intuitively kind of just react to people's energy and then understand my reaction. And because I understand my reaction, I can then understand their pattern. And that's how I can help them release that pattern. And so, for example, I can realize, oh, I really don't like this person. And then that is just a judgment, right? But I can notice it in my system. And then because I'm noticing that, I can then question, what is it about this person that I don't like? And then usually it's because they don't like themselves. And then I don't have to react and take distance from this person, but I can actually approach that person and say, hey, I noticed that there's something going on in your energy, and like I'm reacting to this as like not really liking you. I mean, I wouldn't say that. Like, I have better examples in the podcast. This sounds really mean, but like, you know, like, yeah, if you have that, it can be anything. Like, I just notice people and try to meet them, not in reaction to what they're sending out, but actually meet them in their true essence. And then you can realize all of this is just a story that you're carrying. Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's a long.
No, that is like, it's deep, and I mean, like, I totally agree with you. And like I say, people, you know, you're like a radio channel. You can change the frequency. You know, sometimes people think, you know, they tell themselves the story, I'm this because, and they just keep repeating it. And you can't. You can change. You can just turn the knob, and you know, you're on a different channel. And like the fact that you can help people with that and what you've just said, I think is beautiful.
Well, I think it's also like there's so much in the like spiritual conscious world where it's just like, just change your thought. And this works if you're used to doing that and observing that. But it's such a efforting way to reprogram your mind when you start with the thoughts. Because for me, that's just like a surface level. If you start with the beliefs and the core wounds that you have, you're getting like right to the energetic point. And part of me also believes that we have like cellular memory in our body. And so if you have cellular memory that you've been carrying for years of trauma, of stories, then just changing your thought, you're not changing your behavior or beliefs, but like you can do that because you're rewiring your brain, so you can change and change and change. But I just have felt for myself it's more effective to go to the core kind of wound from that belief, because I also believe that everything that limits us is a belief, because in true essence we're super powerful and like we create realities. So like the only thing that limits us is the beliefs that we have. Yeah.
And I think as well, like for me, because when something happens, for me, I had lost nearly everything through kind of say corruption of others. And a lot of the times people, they're repeating the story of what happened to them, kind of like the poor me thing. And all they're doing is they're reinforcing it in themselves, reliving the pain. And once you can actually forgive everybody that was involved, you know, that is life-changing.
Yes. And that's also, so one of the meditations that I'm going to share in your podcast too is the relationship healing one, because we have so many people are living in the past, especially when it comes to relationships. Like, there's one thing that I have a limiting belief about myself, and I can clear that. It's a whole different story if I'm carrying on limiting beliefs about you, right? There's so many of us are carrying beliefs about our children, about our parents, about, you know, people from our childhood, of how they are, and we're meeting them through our own beliefs about them. And if our beliefs are not empowering them, we're creating them as limiting as well. And so if you have relationships in which there's tension, usually it's always because of the past and because of what you're judging the other person to be. So this is like the next level of clearing limiting beliefs, is actually clearing what you believe about others. And so, yeah, one of the meditations I do is to help people forgive and work with their relationships in the past. Because I do think that we're, you know, if you have tension in a relationship, there's energy leakage. If you have a lot of people in your life that you don't like, and you think of them and there's this tension, like part of you is still energetically attached to them. And so there's a lot of things to be said to heal relationships, to actually do kind of the work on your relationships. Yeah. And that's like part of the energy, and part of all the things that I do comes down to relationship, to yourself, relationship to the people around you, relationship to the earth, relationship to everything. And so when you realize that you are in relationship to everything, and that relationship starts with your emotional body and your mind, then you also realize that that's where the control center is, right? You only have relationships in your mind and like in your emotional body. And so if there's tension in your mind, the tension is in you, not in the other person. And so if you're holding on to judgment or tension or not forgiving someone, that's all in you, right?
Exactly.
There's a lot of tension in you. And so if you work on you, the relationship changes.
Totally. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so when somebody, whether it's a relationship, a spouse, and somebody says something, it's all about your reaction. So, instead of losing the plot and reacting negatively, if you can be, happy within and just acknowledge maybe they're upset because of something totally different, but you think they're taking out on you. And if you can actually just, I think it's like take a few steps back, it doesn't spiral out of control.
And here's the thing that I also talk about, and that's just what you shared right now, the tension in relationships and how you can hold space for that. Because for me, I'm reacting to someone regardless. Like, if I'm upset, if something happens and there's a conflict, there's, like, I'm agreeing with you, but I'm just making it more in depth. So it's not about not feeling that reaction. It's about not acting on that reaction. And so you cannot control the instant emotional reaction that you get in the moment. And actually trying to control that, I think, blocks the energy. You actually have to feel the emotion, but you have to feel it and not act on it. And when you can feel that emotion, first of all, I believe like emotion is like a movement, so it needs to move out of your body. And in fact, most of our trauma is repressed emotions that haven't been moved out of our body. That's why like working with trauma is a lot about releasing energy from the body, because there's like a stuckness to it. But it's about feeling the emotion. So say that I'm, in an argument and I just feel anger. Then for me, I just feel the anger, but I'm not like shouting. I'm just feeling the anger. And then this is the thing also, I do believe that it's only in conflict with people or in emotional upsetness where we start to actually realize our programs and our quote unquote shadow sides. And so every single conflict is an opportunity for growth and opportunity for connection. So I even go a step further. It's not about in the relationship, it's not about not reacting. It's not about not acting on it. It's more so about being grateful that you had an emotional reaction and then starting to understand that reaction. And usually that reaction is always based on your own limiting beliefs from childhood, right? Someone is attacking you and it reminds you of the attack from childhood, and you have a coping mechanism to that attack, and you have a story in that. And that there might be a story towards your partner in that case, where the story is, you're attacking me, I have to defend myself, in short. But the deeper part of it is actually, my inner girl, my inner child is really upset because my parents maybe shouted at me when I was little, and it really scares me. And so when I actually realize that, now someone is reminding me, like that triggers my scared inner child. And so I have this whole protective mechanism. And if I'm conscious enough, I can sit with that anger, I can sit with that emotion, and I can understand where it's coming from, where the program is coming from. And that is, for me, the only thing that has helped to not feel that emotion again in the future. Like, to actually go to the root again. Because there's different situations, of course. You can't always apply like healing maybe to all. I don't want to like say like you can always do that, but for me it's always been the case that here's where we actually build the deepest layer of trust in a relationship is, can I have tension with you and show up in love. Because when things are going fine, it's magical and it's, you know, it's so fun and happy and shiny. But when it's ugly, can we show up in love? That's when you build trust. And so actually showing up in your ugliness and talking about it, holding space for it, understanding it, coming out from the other side, actually being grateful for having this conflict. Then conflict leads to connection, and then you just start feeling as an emotional being safer and safer in this person, because you realize you can show the whole range of emotion, the whole range of ugliness, because we do become ugly when we're you know, feeling under attack. Like if we're in fear mode, we're not loving. Like we become selfish, scared, protective, you know, small. So it's not a nice thing. And I see this in myself too. Like so many relationships, I'm like, oh, I'm really ashamed of having done that. But the ability, the fact that I can actually show my whole range, like all of my ugly parts, and you can still show up in love for me, then suddenly I trust you way deeper than what I did before the conflict. And so, yeah.
Deep and beautiful. I like that one. That is very nice. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, these are the things that I'm like obsessed about, so I could talk about them forever. But that's, you know, and if we realize that, you look at the whole world, you look at all the conflicts that there, if we realize that conflict is an opportunity for connection, I mean, the world would be transformed. Everyone, we haven't been taught as a society how to understand emotions at all, or energy. And so when we start to understand these things, there will be less suffering, so much less suffering. You know, make all the conflicts about connection and safety and relationships, take away the negative parts of any relationship. I'm making it simple. It's more complex than that. Mm. But in short, I feel like I have so many keys to eliminate emotional suffering, like the optional part of suffering that's there. Yeah.
Very nice. And like different types of meditation, because some people think you need 2 hours to meditate. You know, there's different ones. What's your thoughts on like how much time you should set aside for various types of meditation?
I think that everyone has to feel what they like to do. Like, again, it's like my main thing is to just follow your intuition, follow your own body. And like we also shared, like there's so many ways that you can be present, because I think that's the key of meditation. You know, you can do Acroyoga, you can paint, but I would say for anyone who works, for me personally, I think the most powerful times to meditate is when you're waking up in the morning, because then you are not filled up with stories yet, or when you go to bed at night to, you know, go into that kind of theta level of brainwaves where you're super relaxed, or 3, when you have like a strong emotional feeling, like to shift your emotional state. Like if you're feeling upset or really like something needs to change emotionally, that's also a really good time to meditate. And time-wise, I think for me, I just sense it in my body when I'm done. And so just like, if you build up that level of connection with your body, you can feel, okay, now I need to meditate more because I haven't got full understanding of this. So also like the way that I meditate is different from a lot of people, because I don't follow any structure. I just meditate by myself. And I have this whole process. I built this like inner mind palace where I can go to different rooms and do different things. And my meditations are very, very active mentally. So like if I work on like also the meditations that I teach, they're more energy work than traditional like meditation where you just try to not have thoughts, right? My meditations are very energetic. So you're constantly asking the mind questions, and then you're finding the answers to that. Because that's how I personally enjoy meditation too, because I'm a very like I have a very imaginary mind. And so it's very easy for me to create visions and to work with my energy body just by meditating. So yeah, everyone has to do whatever they feels like. But I think, the more you connect to your body, the easier it is to sense how much, how long, when, and what time. I would say. Do you?
A lot of people, they say, you know, sit in the lotus position and everything. I could never enjoy that. I always have to lie down. I lie down when I meditate. And as you say, I do it in the morning and sometimes at night as well. But normally when I wake up, I kind of go through my own little, you know, I have my own little process that I go through, you know, just kind of what I'm grateful for, what who I forgive, where I see myself in a few years, and how I'd like to see the day to go through. And it's amazing how I think you're just being present. And I think the more you meditate, time slows down. I know it's strange, but it's like I tend to, like, I've got the 4 podcasts, but I do a lot of stuff, and people are, they're always complaining, I don't have time to do this. I can't do this. And I think meditation, it just puts into perspective. You just kind of just get really focused. So when I am doing something, I'm not in a million places. I'm not thinking about, I must do this, I must do that. And it just gives clarity to what you're doing.
Yeah, you actually just answered my question. I was like, what do you do? But yeah, and I also think like that's the thing that I think if you look at your body as an energy system rather than a material thing that just goes on the clock, you might think that I don't have time, but that's a mental story of a material world where there's limited resources and limited time. But if you look at it energetically, if you are in an energetic state where you're just a little bit off and stressed, you won't have the right ideas, you won't have the right solutions, you won't have the presence enough to do whatever it is that you want to do during the day. So actually you save so much time if you meditate and come into full presence, because not only are you, like you said, like slowing things down, you're also energetically connecting to the field of energy that you are. And so you will naturally just have a better day because you have primed yourself and your subconscious, depending on your type of meditation, to actually live the life that you want. And then, over time, your days just become better because of that. So, yeah, I think consistency is better than, 2 hours. Like if you just meditate like 3 minutes a day, I think that's better than 2 hours once a week.
Yeah, totally agree with you.
Because it's the consistency, that the small everyday steps that you do that creates a shift, I think. Yeah. Because
some people, they kind of go, I've tried meditation, it doesn't work for me. And I say, well, treat it like eating. You don't just eat once and then think, I'm done. You don't eat anymore. It's like I say, that's the way meditation is. You're putting the food into your body with the meditation. So just exactly like you said, better to have one meal a day than not eat for the week and have a huge supper at the end on the Sunday.
Yeah, and I love that analogy. It's like you're giving yourself energy by doing that. And so, yeah, I really, sometimes it's enough just sitting down, breathing, and just like, 3 minutes. It's like, that could do so much. Because I think that's also like a thing in our society, right? Is that we tend to not slow down. And so just slowing down, that just, it can create a huge shift.
What I'm doing recently with my son is just lighting the fire and just sitting down and looking at the fire. And that's kind of therapeutic in itself as well.
I love that. And I think that's a human, I think that's a human thing. I think we need that more.
Exactly. And I think there's less of it because, a lot of the apartments and everything now being built, they don't have the fireplace. They're just, the 4 walls with the windows. And like, I think fire, it makes a connection. Maybe that's why people enjoy grills so much. It's not necessarily the food. Maybe it's perhaps looking at the fire, waiting for the food to be ready.
Well, I think so my theory in this is it's because it's nature, right? So you can look at the fire and connect to like that fire element and just really, really enjoy that. It's meditative and it's beautiful. You could also look at running water, an aquarium, the ocean, whatever that's moving, and you can have the same sense of calmness, or you can look at beautiful landscapes, feel the air or feel the earth. And I think that will have the same effect. So I think it's connecting to nature, and fire is just one of those elements that we can also have inside.
Watching the waves coming in, I always love doing that, just standing there and watch the waves, crashing on the shore.
Yeah, and isn't that the point of life?
Exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally. I know you're launching a course, so you might let people know, because I think just by listening to you, they'll know that you're a wealth of knowledge, and somebody maybe perhaps going a bit deeper. So you might tell people what the course entails.
Yeah, so the course is for anyone who, like I said before, might be like if you feel emotionally blocked or have this tension or have something that's not really, it can be any area in your life right now that's not really working. Or if you don't have, maybe you want more connection to your intuition and to be able to follow that, or you don't really have a sense of your purpose, you don't really know what your gifts are, then this course is for you. And so we are going to work with your limiting beliefs. So in the first week, we're going to look at your past and do this inner child healing that I talk about. So I'm going to share meditation in your podcast, and then people can have an experience of that. But it's basically looking back at the stories that you hold on to. It's understanding your beliefs so that you can see if your past is blocking you from living the life that you want, from living your future, basically. So a lot of people live like rats, right? They're living in the past, like, oh, but I didn't, I failed before, so I can't fail again. So anyway, the first week is about that. The second week is, we're going to look at like how you can design your time. We talked about this before starting this podcast too. Like a lot of people are so busy, or they have like a fixed schedule or anything like that. And we're just going to look at like how you can design your time so that you can be more with the things that you love that give you energy, and less time that drains you of energy. And so we're also going to work with like the present moment in your life right now, like how to redesign it a little bit and get clarity on your passion, what you're passionate about, and the energy giving activities, and also like work a little bit with your creative energy and your intuition. In week 3, we're going to look at how you can shift your relationship to fear. And this is because in our society, we haven't learned how to relate to fear. And so we just see fear as a stopping agent, like stop doing this, instead of realizing that fear usually is where we want to go. Like if we're scared of something, it's usually because we want to go there or do that, right? And so if you allow fear to block you from doing what you want in your life, then you're going to live a very restricted life just inside of your comfort zone. So in week 3, we're going to start really changing your relationship to fear, and actually have you start to dream big again if you haven't done that yet, or if you sometimes people have a big dream and because it didn't happen, they shut it down. And so we're going to reopen that and just allow people to feel the power that they actually have. And then in week 4, we're going to look at your impact. And so you're going to gain clarity what your gift is and how it relates to the change that you want to be in the world. So you're going to look at like the problems that you see in the world right now and how that can be helped with your gifts and how to relate that. And you're also going to feel the energetic impact that you have. Like once again, you are the creator of your reality, and to come back to feeling that power that you have is what we're going to do in week 4, so that you feel empowered to actually be that change that you want to see in the world. And so, yeah, this is a 4 weeks course. We're going to do short meditations every day. So it's like you get this like bite-sized information Monday through Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday, you get that time off. So you have to spend like 20 minutes per day just doing a short meditation and a short journaling exercise. And we do this together with a group. The group is right now based on Facebook because it's the easiest alternative. You have access to the course outside of Facebook, of course. You can do it on your own time. But we're going to do it together with the group so that you share things, so that you feel the connection with the group, so you get that momentum of being with the group. And then we're also going to do 2 live sessions so that you can meet people in real life. And yeah, it starts the 8th of February. And I think if you haven't meditated before, like one of the people that did my beta version of a course, like as a side benefit of doing my course, she started to meditate every day. Because she had a meditation every day in the course, she started to do that. And I was like, I didn't have that as an intention, but that's beautiful. She didn't do that before. So if you're just interested in meditation and you like kind of my style, then this would be a brilliant opportunity to just start meditating every day, because you literally have to do that in the course. And yeah, I'm doing like a super cheap deal right now, like a 1-week promotional thing. So it's 97 euros up until the 31st of January. Then the price goes up to 197 for a week. Then we launch it, and then the price goes up to 497 euros. So it's like, yeah, this promotional phase is just going to be a really good deal for people who wants to join. And I want as many people as possible that feel aligned to join, because I think this can benefit a lot of people. And I want to see more people empowered to actually do what they want in their life. Like that's part of my mission with all of this, is to have more people step into their full power, because I think that's what the world needs right now, like more and more people just following their heart. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's very good value. And the other thing as well is the benefit of being in a Facebook group is you connected with like-minded people. And, you know, it's nice to, you actually end up building relationships with people, and, you know, you could maybe travel to each other, or you might find you've people in the same kind of cities, and it's a great way of connected with like-minded people.
I mean, that's something that I didn't realize before having courses, is how much people connect in these groups. Because like I heard afterwards that two of the people that didn't know each other from the course, they happened to live quite close to each other in Sweden, and they actually became roommates. Like she moved into her house and they became friends, and I was like, that's amazing. And a lot of people, yeah, they become friends, and because it's also these groups where, at least for me, I've felt that I've been very blessed with just amazing people that's doing my courses, but they're so vulnerable and they share things so openly about the process. And so just having that space where you can share things, some people have never shared things before to, like, you know, people they don't know, or maybe they haven't shared things at all. So it really becomes this beautiful process where you're vulnerable, and that, you know, people see you in that and support you in that. And yeah, doing things in a group where you feel that energy, and you can just like, you kind of create an energetic momentum. And I've experienced this. This is why I'm so happy doing online courses, because I've experienced that in online courses myself. And so I was like, I want to create something that also creates this energy, this, you know, it's so empowering. So yeah, that's why I'm doing it that way.
No, fantastic. Listen, Filippa, it's been wonderful speaking to you. So with the podcast and with the course, how can people actually get in contact with you?
Yeah, so the easiest way at the top of my mind is to go to my website, Levemark.com, and click on the courses link, or /courses, and that will redirect you to the kind of sales page. I think I'll send you the links so we can have them in the show notes, but the course is called Awakening Your Brilliance, and the exact link is like store.filippalevemark.com/awakening your brilliance, with like one of these, I don't know what you call it in English, awakening, and then like a hyphen your brilliance. Yeah, but I'll send you the links so that people can join.
Okay. And the podcast is called
Flow with Filippa. And you can find them on most podcast apps if you want to listen to that. And yeah, I think that's it. There's also, like, I made a Facebook event also for the course. So if you go to my Facebook page called Filippa, which is, I'm not super active on that page, but I created the event through that page. It's just called Filippa. And yeah, you can see the event that I created there as well. But I'll put all of those links in the show notes if I can send them to you.
Yeah, of course, I'll put them all on the links. Yeah. So it's been wonderful. Listen, thank you very much, and I look forward. I'll put it out today so that plenty of people will have time to get the early bird price, which is very good value, to be honest. And I think just by listening to what you've said during this conversation, I think they realize they will get some good value. And I also encourage people to check out your art, because I just love your art. I mean, I'm constantly looking at the pictures that you've done, and it blows my mind away. So if you're into art, definitely check out the website as well, because you sell your art there as well. So it's worth investing.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for listening. Also, all the listeners, thanks for tuning in. And yeah, from my heart to yours, thank you.
Thank you. So that's all for the meditation podcast. You'll find all the episodes on meditationpodcast.org. Be sure to give us a thumbs up, share with your friends. Until next week, take care.